Okay, we are live. This is the Tuesday Report. With your host, Chris Bennett and
Todd Goldblatt.
all right. This is a new thing for us. Ty and I, we've known each other for, a long time, hasn't it? About 6 years,
Roughly
7 years now?
7 years now. Yeah, we met via the job that I had at County Market, which was beverage steward. He was my beer salesman.
Yeah. So, uh, um, so I heard we got some unofficial sponsors. The ones that are unofficially sponsoring this podcast, one of them is Binny's, where I get my beer from and other alcohol beverages. And the other one is Wingstop, because you can't have craft beer without the wings, right? So, and tonight I am drinking the Sweetwater Hazy IPA. So
You
get
sounds
a
delicious.
shot for Sweetwater. So yeah. So all right. So Todd,
Yes.
do you think we'll be able to see concerts this year, possibly?
You know, for me, it's tough to say. I think it will have to be based on how fast they can get everybody that wants to be vaccinated. I think that will up the chances, but it's going to be difficult. So let's hope for it. I mean, I know I would like to be able to go see a show or two this summer, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'd like to go back and get back in the groove of going to shows, but for some reason, uh, uh the ones that are going to go through like Ticketmaster, they're going to require you to have that passport, the vaccine passport or whatever, to show when you go get a ticket or something like that. So
Yeah, and I
I
think
wonder if
that's
there's
going to
going to be
cause
any rogue.
problems for the people who are choosing not to get vaccinated for whatever reason that is. But that's just my personal opinion. I think you're going to agitate people because you're forcing them to get it. But I've always looked at it as if the business themselves or whatever it is that you're going to a venue, if they require it, how can you argue it's a business, right?
Right. I mean, and then the I would probably assume the bands and the artists would probably agree to hey, if you want to get things done through Ticketmaster or whatever, um, uh, these are the rules that we're going to lay down, and I'm sure the artists will want it, will either agree with it or they won't agree with it. And if they don't agree with it, they'll do something differently, or if they do agree with it, obviously they're going to go through Ticketmaster. So, but at the same time, though, I feel that there's probably going to be some rogue concerts going on to circumvent the whole Ticketmaster, because I could see rogue concerts going on. They're like they're gonna be like F Ticketmaster. I mean, Ticketmaster is actually kind of a monopoly, so they're gonna say F Ticketmaster. We'll do things our way, and they'll sell tickets like through their websites or their own band websites or another third party merchandiser. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, if we're able to have concerts again, okay, what shows what would you like to see?
There's one metal band that I've been wanting to see, and it's Battlecross. I've been hooked on that for a bit. I know that they've obviously had numerous albums from before, but it's definitely a band that I'd like to catch somewhere. And whoever's with them, hopefully they're good, because you never know with the bands that open, etc. So,
Right.
what
Um,
about you?
I would like to see my favorite band play. I have not ever seen them play, and I've switched like favorite bands over the years. But this band I really, really liked. I would like to see Prong um, play, uh, and I'm a huge fan of Tommy Victor. I really love their music. Their last 4 or 5 albums have been just bangers. So I would really love to see them as play. So
Okay.
um, there might be some others that I have probably crossed paths or whatever, but Prong is my number one. Um, so
Right on. Yeah, I mean, I would have to say another band of mine that would be on my list would probably have to be, um, sorry, uh, and I just literally had it on the top of my mind and it left my view. This is what happens when you have brain farts. Um,
yeah,
no, I'm not.
another one of mine would be Megadeth. I have never seen Megadeth.
Okay.
And I wanted to see them when they were supposed to come out 2 years ago. And uh, Dave Mustaine had throat cancer,
Okay. Yep.
so I was about to shell out that money to go see Megadeth because that's one of the few bands my wife and I actually agree on.
Got to listen to
uh,
that Hager 18 all day.
so so and in fact we had the same album. uh uh we realized that we had the Countdown to Extinction. She had a copy, I had a copy. So
Cool.
and I was just like, oh, you like Megadeth? Yeah, I love Megadeth. Oh, all right. So I would have definitely taken my wife to see Megadeth, and if they were to come around or come close again in the near future, I would love to take her to go see Megadeth.
Gotcha. So I just remembered which band it was that I was trying to say earlier, and it was Rise Against. I know that's not metal, that's more punk, but I'm also a very big fan of the punk and ska scenes, and that would be probably the
Right.
top on my list to find a concert for, because they throw down for sure.
Cool. Cool. Um, I know this is going off the beaten path, and I was talking this our segment here, talking music or whatnot, but I came across a video. The quarantine videos this past year, have been on fire. Okay, um, my two favorite ones uh, have been. There was one with Michael Patton and uh, the guys from couple guys from Anthrax, and they were redoing Speak English or Die, but Michael Patton was singing Speak Spanish or Die. Michael Patton is he is a genius. All right. I really like his stuff. As a huge Faith No More fan, I love Faith No More. it's probably if I could see them, that's another band I would love to see again. I mean, I would love to see. I've never seen Faith No More, um, and uh, and he knows like something like 4 or 5 different languages or something like that. So he's just, you know, he's really talented and everything. And if anybody wants to check them out, it's a quarantine video, and it Speak Spanish or Die. It's really good. And the other quarantine video I just saw last week, I think I told you about it, was they remade We Care a Lot by Faith No More. And I'm actually friends with Chuck Mosley. He's the original lead singer for Faith No More. I'm actually uh, friends on Facebook with his widow. So Chuck passed away in 2017, I believe. So and I love that song "We Care a Lot," and they did a really good job with it. It was some of the guys from Slaves on Dope. There's a guy from Anthrax. There's a guy from Men Without Hats. Another guy from Filter. Run DMC from Run DMC was on there. It was just an all-star cast of people. So I enjoyed those videos. Keep those quarantine videos coming. Wow, they've been great. So, hey, what are you sipping on, by the way?
Yeah, I was going to throw that in there eventually. I know that it has been seen twice at this point. So I am a bourbon connoisseur, and so it is Jefferson Reserve, and it is
Jeffersonian
in Cabernet Cass, and it is delicious. It's my higher end bottle that I go for because it's about $90. I know that's not really high end for bourbon, but for me, that's the limit that I'm going to spend. And for the 90 that it's very tasty, very oaky. You get that you get that Cabernet tannin that pops from the cask. It's pretty nice. Some pepper. He's chugging his beer. So transitioning into a little bit of sports talk, we obviously will have our next Super Bowl coming up, and we will once again see Tom Brady
Super Bowl
10th. Yes, that is 10th Super Bowl appearance. And I think everybody's had enough Brady except for, the handful of fans that he has. I mean, pretty much anybody who watches football is a fan of him, but you got to look at the new guy that's in town, Pat Mahomes. He's going to be showing some things. As long as he can have a healthy career, I think we're going to be talking about him amongst the Aaron Rodgers. I know they already are talking about him kind of being as a, how his career started, the Manning, the Rodgers, et cetera, of the world. But I'm not trying to, unfortunately injury can happen, but those unsure things, I think he's got a very bright career, and it's going to be a hell of a Super Bowl. I think it's going to come down to a defensive battle. I really think whatever team comes out and plays a better defensive game to whatever game plan the offense is throwing at them and can make adjustments, I think that's the difference, because they're going to be a lot of scoring going on.
Yeah, I think it's going to come. I personally think it's going to come down to who's got it last. It's not like last year where Kansas City came back from, what were they, 10 down and won it. So I think Tampa Bay has a better defense
Oh, no
than
doubt.
the Niners did last year. So
Um, that I'm in between. I think that the defense is good. I mean, you got to remember what's really odd is the Chicago Bears, my team, beat Tampa Bay, which was the most odd win of our season. Not to be depressing for those Bears fans that
right,
watched it, but I mean, yikes. So what could happen? I mean, could it be that game? If it is that game, then that's a blowout, in my opinion. If they come out and they're not able to move the ball very well, which I mean, again, that was the best defensive performance. Again, that's why I go back to I think it's how well are the defenses ready to come out and minimize the scoring, and then whatever you get from that is who's going to get the sack, who's going to get the um, you know that 3rd and 1, who's going to be better on 3rd down, who's going to be all these factors play into I feel the winner. Like I think when I go back and look at the stats after it's played, I'm fairly confident that what you're going to see is the team that won is going to be better on getting the defense off the field on 3rd down. They might have a turnover or two more. I can't say that I'm fully. I mean, I think you got 2 quarterbacks that just don't do it that often. So we might not see a lot of turnover. It may be from the run game. Maybe there's a fumble. That could be a difference. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like I'm on around the horn,
so
but
and with me, and with me being a Broncos fan, um, and we have to face the Chiefs twice a year, and then we had to play Tampa Bay this year too. We're 0-3 against both the teams this year. So Tampa Bay destroyed us, and Kansas City destroyed us the first game, and they barely beat us the second game. So um, having to face Patrick Mahomes twice a year is just difficult enough for us, and then having to face Tom Brady again, after all those years of, Tom being in the AFC with the Patriots. I just someone asked me, Chris, who you gonna root for? And I'm like, well, I hate Tom Brady. I can't stand the man. But
breaking
at the same
news.
time, though, the Chiefs are in the same division, and my son's like, breaking news.
Mitch Trubisky is engaged.
Oh, but I'm rooting.
Breaking
I
news
already
report
told my
was
son
brought to
I'm
you
rooting
in
for the
part
Chiefs.
by everybody's favorite 99-cent 3-liter, Fago. You're welcome.
But I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a closer game with Brady in it. He's gonna try to make it close. So.
Oh, I agree. I don't think this game's going to really be separated by much. Like I said, it's going to be maybe not necessarily who has the ball last, because the last person may be in a position to drive them down the field, and the defense comes up with the stop in order to, they stop them in 4 downs to get them off the field or whatever it is. So.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm calling a final of 34 31, and I'm going to say that Kansas City repeats.
I'm calling 27-23 Kansas City.
Okay. I think that there is going to be more points just because you've got 2 quarterbacks that have many weapons that they can use. And I know the Chiefs are the worst defense, like in comparison stat wise, but I guess we'll have to see. It's going to be a good one. I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. All right. Well, good news from the MLB front. I'm a huge Phillies fan. We
Oh, did you
signed
sign him?
JT Realmuto.
He has been
Yes.
signed.
5 years. 5 years. 115.5 million.
You were worried last
So
night when
we
we
have
chatted
our
briefly.
catcher. Yes, I was. I was just like,
Good.
come on, JT, just sign. No one else is going after you. Come on, just sign it.
Yep. It's cool.
So
Good.
he's been signed. We'll have a catcher. We'll have the best catcher in baseball for the next 5 years. And
Well, until Yachty retires, you better.
Whatever. He's the best
What?
now.
He's still throwing
Yeah,
people out like he
he's
did
the
back in
best
the day.
now.
I know his knees are getting worse, and I think that
Well,
I'm a
okay.
Cardinal fan, and that's why I say Yachty. But my thing is, they actually asked him. I've read articles that have talked about them trying to pursue Yachty moving to a different position so he can play a few more years instead of staying in the catcher position because of his knees.
Right.
But he wasn't showing interest in that.
Yeah. Right. What? Maybe throw him over the first or third or something like that.
I actually think it would at one point would have been first, but now that we've got Goldschmidt, it wouldn't work there. So
okay.
But like I said, I don't think Yachty has more than a year or two left.
You're probably right. Did you hear that the players rejected the DH and an expanded playoffs for this year?
The NL did?
The players union basically said no DH in the NL and no expanded playoffs.
I wonder why, because they tried it last year. Did they not? What did they say was the reason? Did you source anything?
No, I didn't.
Oh, I get it. You're muting. Looks like it's on me to go. No, yeah, I was going to talk about a little bit of my feelings about having a full spring training. I don't see how you can't. I mean, if they're allowing 3,000 fans, 4,000 fans, or whatever it is to be at certain NFL stadiums, and I really don't know how you're going to say that is going to have crazy numbers spiking all over the place. But I mean, you could, or you could and do it the same way, just no fans. I mean, I still feel like they need a full spring training for me to say it's a real season, and I'm sure a lot of MLB fans agree with that because it was real weird. We had what a week or two, and then like there was nothing, and then they had a 60 game season. So it was like, wait, okay. So hopefully we can have that. I'm hopeful that there is. I don't know if there's really been any debate about it, but
yeah, I think the Cardinals are over in they do their spring training in Arizona, right?
they do.
Okay, well, my Phillies they do theirs in Florida, and I know that they're ready to go in Florida. It's that I think the problem is that there's a spike in COVID cases in Arizona, and that's what they're really concerned about right now.
I think I'm
Was that
mistaken.
spike?
I think the Cardinals actually do play in Jupiter. I think I was because I know the Cubs play in Arizona.
Um, well, I know that in Florida, it's all hands on deck. Uh, so they're gonna have to probably try to do something more, a little bit creative in Arizona until those COVID cases kind of go down a little bit. Because I
Right.
think they want to at least put in 120 games this year instead of doing 60. I think they're
Oh
on
yeah,
track of maybe 120, which is double what it was last year.
sure.
So
Well, I think
um
honestly, if if people want sports back, I'd like to be more of like, well, I guess we technically we only lost it for what 2 months, if you really 2 3 months because the NBA restarted. Uh,
right.
so I mean, if it's done right, it can be done, but it's not right now. It's more difficult than I think people understand to not get it. Yes, sure, they're athletes, they're healthy. Whatever you want to say about their physical condition, but why would you even want to get it? That's my question. So
Well, the thing is that they're already having troubles with like the NBA and college right now, with scheduling and stuff like that because I think the Washington Wizards were out like they didn't play for almost 2 weeks
yeah,
because of the
uh,
COVID situation.
yeah,
So um, they're already having problems, in that aspect. But
yeah,
uh,
and I'm not surprised
well,
that
we'll see.
more college teams are coming down with cases, and I hate to say it that way, but like it's hard not to go do stuff when you're in college, right? You should be experiencing different atmospheres, being able to go to frat parties, whatever it is that you're into in college. And that's really been kind
Right.
of limited. And it's also difficult to prevent that. So I think that's one thing that is almost unavoidable because you're supposed to live that kind of, yeah, sure, you're going to study, you're going to work because you want to get through it, but you have to party. You have to, whether you choose to get hammered, whether you choose to smoke pot, whatever it is that winds your clock, you got to do what you got to do. But I think that's one reason why it's affected college sport more than it's infected professional. I mean, two valid points to me about it would be look what the NHL did when they started their season back up. They didn't have a single positive test through the remainder of the season because they stayed in a bubble and they did what as close to what they were supposed to. And I mean, again, you're going to come in contact with people, it's going to happen, blah, 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 etc. But like they took care of themselves. You could tell, like, that proves that really truly doing 100% of what is required can prevent it, to me, because you got to think it's not just the players and coaches, the medical staff. You've got what, probably 150 people, 100 people, 125 people total between all the traveling cameramen, et cetera, or whatever it is. So
I think that with the NBA, they could levy fines for people who uh, not follow the rules. Whereas in college, it's like, what do we do? So I know Kyrie Irving got fined for not following the COVID protocols, and I think that there's a couple other guys that got fined for not following the COVID protocols. But that's the difference between professional and amateur sports. You know,
for sure.
you
I
can't
mean, and
really
that's
punish
again, right. Yeah,
a college athlete for right. So um, it'll be interesting to see what the baseball season uh, brings us, and as we get closer, we'll talk more about we could talk more about our teams and what you kind of expect from your team or my team or whatever, or we can make predictions on how the season's gonna go and stuff like that. I'm just a little disappointed that the players rejected the DH, at least the DH.
Yeah, I kind of liked it. I
Because
mean,
I really like the DH. I really do. I really like the fact that the pitcher doesn't have to go up and have an at bat after he just threw an inning. So
the
it
other
is
thing
what it is.
that brings that I feel the DH is good for is it essentially extends careers of people that get up there in age and maybe can still hit, but they can't. Maybe they're losing the mobility in the field, or like that'd be a perfect thing for. I mean, for anybody who's got a really good bat and whatnot. I mean, that's what a lot of if you've noticed, there's been players from the NL that move into the AL because of the DH. They're used for a year or two more, and then they do that.
Right. I agree. And my son's a huge fan. Was a huge fan of David Ortiz. So,
Perfect example
as
is
he got up in age, he didn't play first base. He was a DH guy, and he still smacked 40, almost 50 home runs a year just from the DH spot. So, I think if they had the DH rule after, as me being a Phillies fan, I think if they had the DH rule when Ryan Howard went down after the 2011 playoffs, and when he came back, I think he would have been able to smack 40 home runs from the DH spot. And we would be talking about Ryan Howard being a member of the 500 club probably right now. So, all right. Well, good on them sports. We sure like them sports, don't we?
Yeah, I think a lot of us do, and I mean, but yeah. So what else? What else is there?
Any right now we're at the 33. So we can continue with other things, or we could finish it,
wrap it up, maybe just for the first go around. Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
We could do that. So any last words before we sign off?
I first want to thank you for asking me to do this. It's hopefully going to be fun, and we'll continue to do this Tuesdays at 6:30. And they may extend longer based on topic. But we will plan to cover multiple topics. May have a little bit of sports involved in whatever, but give us a try. See if you like us. This was my first podcast that I've ever done, so here's to hopefully many more that just to do it for fun. We're not looking to wow anybody with our opinions and what we talk about. So cheers.
And this is like my third or fourth go around, and this is actually one where I'm not actually talking about politics right now. So it's nice to have something a little different. So and it's nice to have someone who I know, who I've known for years, and that we talk ever since I've been laid off. We've been talking, a lot more like than we used to, and it's good instead of just sitting there on the phone going, okay, blah 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 blah, we can actually get on a podcast and then just air things out that way, you know. So it's another, you know, avenue, you know, for us and see what other people uh, uh, may think. If you're watching it for the first time, let us know what you like for the for us to talk about. I mean, we're, you
Right.
know,
Please
we're
suggest
down for
topics.
just about almost anything. So
Correct.
suggest topics. We could we've got a list of stuff that I'm sure we would like to talk about, and we're gonna, you know, brainstorm some stuff. But please let us know what you would like to hear from us two dudes. So, all right, thank you. That was the Tuesday report, and we're signing off.
We'll see you
We'll see
next
you
time.
next Tuesday.
See you.